Budapest is bracing for a moment that could rupture the geopolitical script Europe has lived by for years. Not because Viktor Orbán is defying Brussels again, but because, for the first time, the Hungarian Prime Minister may be positioning himself as the only leader trying to drag the continent back from a war it does not know how to end. For more than a decade, Orbán has been branded everything from Putin's Trojan horse to Trump's last European loyalist. His critics in Western capitals treated him as a political aberration, an outlier disrupting the collective march of European unity. Yet the announcement that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin will meet in Budapest within weeks has forced even his fiercest opponents to confront a question they long dismissed. What if the man they tried to sideline is now the only one capable of putting the pieces back together? A strategy years in the making. Orbán's path to this moment didn't begin with leaked phone calls or last-minute diplomatic choreography. It began years earlier, in the messy aftermath of Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea, when European leaders slammed shut the diplomatic channels to Moscow and bet everything on sanctions. Orbán made a different bet. He kept talking. While EU states scrambled to replace Russian energy, crippling industries and hammering households, Hungary quietly secured long-term gas and oil deals. Brussels called it disloyal, Orbán called it survival. "You don't end wars," he said more than once, by refusing to speak to one side. He was mocked. Then came Europe's energy crisis and the laughter stopped. The shock announcement. The revelation hit late Thursday night. Trump and Putin had agreed to meet in Budapest, together, in the same room, with Orbán as host. European capitals erupted. There's an ICC arrest warrant. Putin can't travel freely. Hungary must arrest him. Brussels demanded compliance. Orbán, unflinching, replied that Hungary would not act as Europe's enforcement arm in a conflict diplomacy has abandoned. He guaranteed Putin's safe passage, an audacious move that instantly made Budapest the only plausible venue for a Trump-Putin dialogue. Orbán's calculation is simple. Peace requires someone who can speak to both sides without theater. The Trump connection. When Trump talks about Orbán, there is an unmistakable warmth rare from a politician who doesn't distribute compliments lightly. He calls Orbán a tough, smart leader and praises his border control, economic management, and refusal to bow to outside pressure. In Trump, Orbán sees a partner who shares his worldview. Sovereignty first, ideology last. Both have been dismissed as authoritarian by Western media. Both see themselves as antidotes to what they describe as elite groupthink. Now, with Trump signaling a foreign policy reset built on negotiation over confrontation, Orbán has become the European hinge between Washington and Moscow, the Putin equation. Orbán's relationship with Putin has long been the EU's sore point. Yet what his critics label alignment is, in practice, consistency. He never joined calls to isolate Russia completely. He never participated in the illusion that diplomacy could be replaced by embargoes and speeches. Putin, whose travel options have shriveled since the ICC warrant, trusts Orbán precisely because the Hungarian leader never played double games. What he said privately, he repeated publicly. In international politics, that kind of predictability is rare and valuable. A continent without a plan. Europe's outrage at the Budapest summit hides an uncomfortable truth. The EU has no realistic strategy for ending the war in Ukraine. Sanctions hurt but didn't break Russia. Weapons slowed Russian advances but didn't stop them. Ukraine is exhausted. European economies are strained. And winter always returns. Orbán, watching the stalemate harden, asked the question Brussels refused to confront. If victory is impossible, why is negotiation forbidden? He was dismissed until Trump and Putin accepted his invitation. A game of airspace and nerves. The logistics underscore Europe's political paralysis. How does Putin reach Budapest when nearly every neighboring country is EU or NATO territory? Routes are being studied through Turkey, Serbia, the Balkans, anywhere Budapest can carve out a corridor between hostility and obligation. Orbán's willingness to challenge the ICC warrant has enraged European lawmakers, but it has also exposed what many diplomats whisper privately. International law is powerful, but selectively applied, and everyone knows it. The stakes. If the Budapest meeting produces even a framework, even a gesture toward a ceasefire, the political fallout in Europe will be seismic. It will validate Orbán's long criticized insistence that diplomacy was never optional, and it will raise the question EU leaders fear most. What if Hungary, small, criticized, often isolated, was the only European state acting rationally? Orbán's supporters frame him not as a rogue, but as the continent's reluctant realist, a leader willing to pay the political price for pursuing what he sees as the only viable path out of a grinding, unwinnable conflict. The coming moment, if Trump, Putin, and Orbán walk into the same room in Budapest, the images alone will shake Europe's political establishment. If they walk out with even the faint outline of a peace process, it will redefine Orbán's legacy and expose Europe's diplomatic vacuum. And if they fail, Budapest will still have done what no other European capital dared to attempt. Either way, Orbán has already achieved something no one expected. He forced the world to take him seriously.